Carry in my pocket every day, I carry a coin that just says memento mori, which is Latin. It means remember your death, right? And on the back, there's a quote from Marcus Aurelius. He said, you could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. This could be the last show I'm on in my life. This could be the last city I'm on in my life. This could be the last book I ever write. The thought of your mortality and death, and not in a depressing way, should shadow everything that you do, because it's the only way to make sure you do it right.
It's incredible what gratitude does.
Well, the two things that mess everybody up are anger and fear. When you let them dominate you, you're in trouble. And you can't be angry and grateful simultaneously. It's the antidote. It's the only antidote that really works.
I ended up moving out at 15, ended up homeless at 18. My dad was abusive, and so I decided I would just live in a cabin by myself. If I look back on my life, I knew that at 15 I should have been a statistic. If you want to end up somewhere, you have to know where you want to end up. Then you have to have a compass of knowing how to navigate.
No, your 3 words, you're gonna die.
Yeah.
That should let you cut out bullshit. That should let you decide how you're going to treat other people and let yourself be treated, and it should determine the quality of the work that you're going to do.
Like something bad happens, they hear something, they see something, and they're like, oh shit, I'm going to live under the mindset of you're going to die, like yeah?
You do have a fatal diagnosis from a doctor. He just can't tell you if it's 6 months or 60 years, but you are definitely 100% going to die, and it could be tomorrow, so what are you going to do with that information?
So for me, I say, I'm not into money. I just don't want to go back to being homeless. I don't want to eat out of trash cans again. I don't want to sleep in abandoned buildings. So it's the darkness in me that gets me up and drives me.
What does the market want you to do, whether that's your parents or society, versus what you want to do?
I think focus is everything. Saying no is so hard, but the truth is, like, we're surrounded by leeches, bloodsuckers, and vampires. People that want to take, and they don't give back. Learning to say no to all those distractions is the only way to get anywhere. Because
there's really only one thing in life, which is doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing, and that doesn't come from out here. I lived this exact problem. I did what everybody else wanted me to do for the first chapter of my life.
And who's that? Who's that? Wait, who's that? That was your parents?
The world.
Yeah, I agree. The market. Let me give you a really good piece of advice, and make sure your parents watch this video. You can always get a job.
You can never go back to 21 years old and kind of, take that leap of faith. So like, just, plan. You're so young, but like plan, but just do it, bro. Fuck that.
I served somebody else for a long time, emotionally, mentally, even trying to reconcile being an artist and an athlete. That was because I was paying attention to what culture wanted from me, but that's all bullshit. There's only one thing, and that's you doing what you're supposed to be doing in the world.
It's just about happiness, bro. That's all that matters, is your happiness. Other people are going to tell you what they think you should do or what they would do if they were you, but they're not you, bro. They're not you.
You gotta find what is your flagship. What is it that you're gonna commit your soul to?
Like, if you want to have one of the best lives in the world, which is you live on your terms, you have to pay your dues to get there. Who do we cherish and who do we put on pedestal? The people that from the get punted everything else and went full-pledged themselves. Be happy and execute on your thing. Don't justify your dreams, execute on them.
Today, I want to tell you 3 stories from my life. That's it. No big deal. Just 3 stories. The first story is about connecting the dots. I dropped out of Reed College after the first 6 months, but then stayed around as a drop-in for another 18 months or so before I really quit. So why'd I drop out? It started before I was born. My biological mother was a young, unwed graduate student, and she decided to put me up for adoption. She felt very strongly that I should be adopted by college graduates, so everything was all set for me to be adopted at birth by a lawyer and his wife. My biological mother found out later that my mother had never graduated from college and that my father had never graduated from high school. She refused to sign the final adoption papers. She only relented a few months later when my parents promised that I would go to college. This was the start in my life. And 17 years later, I did go to college. And all of my working class parents' savings were being spent on my college tuition. After 6 months, I couldn't see the value in it. I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life, and no idea how college was going to help me figure it out. So I decided to drop out and trust that it would all work out okay. It was pretty scary at the time, but looking back, it was one of the best decisions I ever made. The minute I dropped out, I could stop taking the required classes that didn't interest me and begin dropping in on the ones that looked far more interesting. It wasn't all romantic. I didn't have a dorm room, so I slept on the floor in friends' rooms. I returned Coke bottles for the 5-cent deposits to buy food with. And I would walk the 7 miles across town every Sunday night to get one good meal a week at the Hare Krishna temple. And much of what I stumbled into by following my curiosity and intuition turned out to be priceless later on. Again, you can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards. So you have to trust that the dots will somehow connect in your future. You have to trust in something, your gut, destiny, life, karma, whatever. Because believing that the dots will connect down the road will give you the confidence to follow your heart, even when it leads you off the well-worn path. And that will make all the difference. My second story is about love and loss. I was lucky. I found what I loved to do early in life. Woz and I started Apple in my parents' garage when I was 20. We worked hard, and in 10 years, Apple had grown from just the two of us in a garage into a $2 billion company with over 4,000 employees. We just released our finest creation, the Macintosh, a year earlier, and I'd just turned 30. And then I got fired. And so at 30, I was out, and very publicly out. What had been the focus of my entire adult life was gone, and it was devastating. I really didn't know what to do for a few months. I was a very public failure, and I even thought about running away from the valley. But something slowly began to dawn on me. I still loved what I did. The turn of events at Apple had not changed that one bit. I'd been rejected, but I was still in love. And so I decided to start over. I didn't see it then, but it turned out that getting fired from Apple was the best thing that could have ever happened to me. The heaviness of being successful was replaced by the lightness of being a beginner again, less sure about everything. It freed me to enter one of the most creative periods of my life. During the next 5 years, I started a company named Next, another company named Pixar, and fell in love with an amazing woman who would become my wife. Pixar went on to create the world's first computer animated feature film, Toy Story, and is now the most successful animation studio in the world. Apple bought Next, and I returned to Apple, and the technology we developed at Next is at the heart of Apple's current renaissance. I'm pretty sure none of this would have happened if I hadn't been fired from Apple. It was awful tasting medicine, but I guess the patient needed it. Sometimes life's going to hit you in the head with a brick. Don't lose faith. If you live each day as if it was your last, someday you'll most certainly be right. And since then, for the past 33 years, I've looked in the mirror every morning and asked myself, if today were the last day of my life, would I want to do what I am about to do today? And whenever the answer has been no for too many days in a row, I know I need to change something. Remembering that I'll be dead soon is the most important tool I've ever encountered to help me make the big choices in life. Because almost everything, all external expectations, all pride, all fear of embarrassment or failure, these things just fall away in the face of death, leaving only what is truly important. Remembering that you are going to die is the best way I know to avoid the trap of thinking you have something to lose. You are already naked. There is no reason not to follow your heart. Stay hungry, stay foolish. Thank you all very much.